How would you define heavy metal?
Define it? Well, it's just, I don't know.
That's such an open-ended question.
Ooh. That's a tough one.
Go on, another question.
I don't know, actually.
It's always been an extraordinarily difficult thing to try and talk about because you have to hear it, you have to experience it.
We are the lost generation, people who don't necessarily fit in.
It's a lot of white boy angst.
Metal is all about stirring up the pot.
They're just about fight you. It's like having a 5 foot. Yeah. You feel the sound. It hits you right here.
It's that anarchy. It's that stuff that makes your parents wet themselves when they're thinking about what their kids may or may not be doing.
The fact that the late 60s gave birth to heavy metal might be somewhat surprising. At the time, much of pop music spoke of peace and love, but those who cared to look beyond the surface found that not every city looked like San Francisco. Some places had a much darker story to tell.
In the Second World War in Birmingham, that's where all the ammunition was made. That's why it got so heavily bombed. So there's a lot of, bricks all over the place and bombed out buildings, all that kind of stuff.
If you look at the times, it was all love and peace and bells and, free love. And that wasn't the case for industrial, stenchy town in Birmingham.
It's very rough, really, very industrial sort of town.
There's heavy industry of all descriptions in and around Birmingham. That's why it's called the Black Country. Coal mines and the smoke. As kids growing up, that was embedded in your mentality.
I remember as a kid being in class and next door to the school was one of these big metal foundries and you'd be in class trying to study and you could actually hear the metal hammers and the compressors banging and spitting forth metal and all this smoke, and it was drifting into the classroom and your books on the desk would be bouncing. You could actually physically feel it. So I sometimes think that's the culprit, I actually breathed that metal into my lungs. It got into my blood.